All summer we're taking you on a journey through different grape varieties with our wine expert Tom Cannavan, and lovely John is here to help me taste the wine. Now, what are we doing this week, Tom?
Well, one of my absolute favourites this week, and it's Riesling.
Riesling?
Well, it is. I need to kind of stick up for Riesling a little bit because there's a case of mistaken identity with Riesling. A lot of people remember the German wines that kind of flooded our market in the 1970s, the Liebfraumilch and the Pease Porter and all those brands like Blue Nun. Now, these wines were not, in fact, made from Riesling at all. They were made from other grapes that the Germans planted in great numbers to produce quite cheap sweetish wines that sold in, huge volumes. But in fact, Riesling is a really kind of one of the noble, oldest grapes in the world and makes fantastic wines. Everything from bone dry through to really sweet dessert wines. And we're going to try and kind of look through all of those styles today.
I think this will be really interesting because there's a bit of a kind of snobbery, I think, when it comes to Riesling, because if you're at a party, you'd be like, oh, look at the Riesling out. You wouldn't really be thinking it was a nice wine, but hopefully that will change people's opinion.
Exactly.
It's good with a kind of sweet...
it does that. Any wines with any wines with a kind of sweet edge are really good against the kind of spicy flavours of curry. The two kind of counterbalance each other.
Well, let's get tasting then. What have we got up first here, Tom?
OK, well, first, we're not in Germany, we're actually in Australia, and it might surprise you, but Australia has more Riesling than it has Chardonnay planted in its vineyards. And this one comes from one of the Riesling, really the key spots called the Clare Valley. It's the Asda Extra Special Clare Valley Riesling, which is £5.98 in Asda, obviously. Yeah. And it's a dry Riesling, and if you have a little sniff of this wine, a little sniff and a little taste, you'll find there's a really intriguing note there that some people might say is a bit like something like paraffin or wax, but there's also a lovely lime fruit to it too.
There is. You can definitely, you can smell and taste the lime.
It's quite
lovely.
distinctive. And if you have a little sip of it, it's quite full-bodied. It's bone dry. It's got loads of fruit, loads of kind of peach and nectarine and limey fruit. And for people who like a Chablis or a Sauvignon Blanc, they're not going to be, they're disappointed in this wine. It's just something a bit different in that clean, fresh style.
And it smells like Chablis, but it doesn't taste like one.
No, the taste's different.
Which is nice. I mean, it's
very refreshing too.
Yeah.
They always.
I wouldn't have thought of it when you said lime.
Well, I'm intrigued. Let's find out what's happening with bottle number 2.
Terrific. Bottle number 2, we are moving to Germany. We're moving to the kind of spiritual home of Riesling, which is the Mosel Valley in Germany. And this is the Dr. L Riesling, which is in Sainsbury's at £6.74. Now, this one is off-dry, so it's a kind of classic style of Riesling, but the difference between this and cheaper wines is also his fantastic acidity that really, it's a kind of scintillating effect on the palate, really sharp, really crisp. So have a little sniff and a taste of this one. And look at that lovely lemon. There's a kind of fragrant red apple kind of note to this as well, I think. And a little taste. Oh,
sorry, we've jumped the gun there. We've actually been tasting. Me, John Michie, and a bottle of wine. Doesn't get much better. Carry on, sorry.
It's light. It's only got 8.5% alcohol, so it's really quite low alcohol.
Oh, really?
And although it's got sweetness...
Put that one back.
No, come on now. Although it's got sweet... Think of a warm summer's day when you're in the garden and you just want a really nice glass of wine, but you don't want to get too tipsy.
I'll think about that, yes.
8.5% alcohol, and although it's got sweetness, it's got that fantastic acidity that really just freshens up the palate. I think that's lovely.
Now, Tom, in terms of eating, what kind of food would you recommend to go along with this wine?
Well, as John said, this is great with spicy food, and this one, which has got that little hint of sweetness, but it's fresh and it's cool and it's cold, is fantastic with Thai food, with Chinese foods, like Szechuan food that's got lots of spices and lots of kind of aromatics. It's brilliant with that, really well chilled straight from the fridge.
Lovely, and again, great price, under £7.
Under £7, which is, I think, for the quality of what you get, is a really good bottle of wine.
And last but not least, I have to tell you before we move on to this third bottle, Stephen Jardine's already swiped a bottle and it's sitting on his desk as we speak.
He is a man of consummate taste.
So it must be expensive, that's all I've got to say.
And is that what you call it?
Well.
Consummate taste.
It's expensive and it's a real treat. Now, this is the Mount Horrocks Cordon Cut Riesling from Australia. Now, first of all, I have to say the price is £14, and that's for a little half bottle. That
makes sense,
But this is an incredibly rare wine, which you can only find in a few specialist shops. This one's from Wood Winters, who have shops in Edinburgh and Bridge of Allen, but we've got other stockists on the website.
So you just can't walk into a supermarket and buy this?
You can't buy in a supermarket. There's really not enough of it about. What happens is, when the grapes are really ripe, the winemaker sends a team of people out into the vineyard, and they go around and they snip all the individual bunches from the vine, but then they don't gather them in, they leave them in amongst the foliage out in the vineyard, and they just leave them there in the sun for about another month. Now, in that time, under the heat of the Australian sun, the grapes basically turn into raisins. So then when they go back out into the vineyards and select the grapes again, and they press them, they get a thick, sweet, concentrated wine that's super sweet. This is a dessert wine, but it still has that amazing acidity. So again, have a little go at this on the nose, first of all.
Can I ask you, Tom, when I think of dessert wine, I'm thinking really posh restaurants and stuff. Do people drink dessert wine? Is it, is it a common buy?
You know, not an awful lot of people do, but I love dessert wine, and most people that taste a good one like this love it too. And the difference between this and the cheaper sweet wines is the acidity. Again, it has balance and it has freshness.
That is beautiful.
Isn't it stunning
I'm
stuff?
just going to have another quick one. Don't worry, I'm not
On the
trying to
nose.
drink.
You need to be eating something with that, I think.
I
You need
think
to be
so.
eating some kind of pudding with that, but it is.
Well, listen, I mean, it wouldn't go with heavy desserts like, chocolate pudding or, sticky toffee pudding, but with fruit-based desserts, it's fantastic. In fact, tonight, Sue Lawrence is making a raspberry and strawberry dish, a sundae, which would be perfect with this. A glass of this with that would be perfect. It's for special occasions, but it's an amazing wine.
I have to say that it's absolutely gorgeous, but to be fair, all three of them have been really nice. I mean, I'm a big white wine fan, but it certainly has changed my opinion now on the Riesling, and I would probably have a look now in the supermarket.
Fantastic. If it converts people to Riesling, I'll be very happy.
Well, I'm a tough cookie, and you've converted me, Tom. What have we got to look forward to next week?
Next week, we're back to reds, and we're doing Merlot, which is a grape which is a famous history from Bordeaux in France, but we're going to look at them from all over the world.
Fantastic. Tom, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. John, you can
Cheers,
get
Michelle.
as drunk as you like on that wine there.